I want each of you to give your statements, closing statements in terms of what the news media and the state of Georgia can do to assist you. Those two things, and anything else you want to, but definitely those two things. Sure. I want to thank Jackie, a local citizen here from Camilla, I think, for being here with us. I want to thank Miss Davis. What's your first name again?
Priscilla.
Priscilla Davis for asking those beautiful questions, well thought out questions. And although Mayor Meggs had to leave, Linda Harris, I want to thank her for coming. She has been arrested more than any of you all, and I want to thank her for that. And but before I get closing remarks from you all, I want to put this in for the record that we don't have a representative here from Hancock County where they have major voting problems over there, as well as some other problems that they have brought this to the Ghetto Free Press, myself, to my attention. Also, Lumpkin Mayor Charles Gibson he was not reelected, and some of the same accusations and things that you all are going through, he told me it could have contributed to him not being reelected. And so I think that that's something that maybe the voting rights professionals may need to look into. Also in Homerville, Georgia, we had a city commissioner on city council who has he got 2 or 3 homestead exemptions. He got one in Florida, he got one in Loudoun County, no, he got 2, and he don't have one in Homerville, Georgia, and that's where he was elected at. And it seemed as if though the county attorney is supporting him in that endeavor, when it seemed like it ought to be a conflict of interest for the state of Georgia, because as in Florida, homestead exemption on some property there, and Loudoun County, and then where he ran, he don't have homestead exemption, and that's Homerville. Also, I think it was the 3rd city that I was called, and that was Davisboro, Georgia. And the mayor over there, I don't think he's no longer there, but I do know that those councilmen were so afraid of the chief of police there until they never followed up and met with me, because they was afraid to even meet with me, from what I gathered, in my opinion, based on the facts and information that I have. Then we also have Douglas, Georgia. And in Douglas, Georgia, I was called to Douglas, Georgia, because a commissioner by the name of Olivia Coley Pearson, she reminded me of you, Mayor Lou, very strong individual. And that newspaper, that the Douglas Times Enterprise, I think it was, made some statements about 20 people that was totally false. And they came before in a panel like this, all 20 of them, and they gave statements with that news media there. They also notified the TV station, but here we go back to the problem you all have. The TV station did not show up. And in addition to that, I was called to a place called Whipple-Lue, Georgia. This too was dealing with voting rights. We don't have a representative there. But the NAACP have been fighting over there for about 7 to 10 years. And I'm sure the Secretary of State's office know about that. This was brought up before Brian P. Kemp in April. I was at the meeting for the state there in Macon with Brian P. Kemp. And so I wanted to share that with you all, because I want you all to know. And the reason why I want all of you all together is for one major reason. This is the major reason I wanted you all to come together. Because as you said, Mayor Davis, there are other cities that have the same problem, but they don't have the courage, number one, or they've called their newspaper to report their stories and they won't tell them. I have called the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Victor Blackwell, MSNBC. I have even sent some of your all videos to the Georgia General Assembly. All the people in the General Assembly, I have the emails, and I have notified them, as well as GMA, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, as well as the federal government, because some of them are dealing with voting rights. And I want you all to know that if something happens to me in the state of Georgia, it may be because of what I'm doing. But I also want you to know that I'm not going to let up. I served this country for 21 years during the Vietnam era, and I have no intentions, if I took an oath and a code of conduct to defend this country from both foreign and domestic enemies. I did that. So then it's my responsibility when I return home to stand up for the people, my relatives, my enemies, and fellow soldiers, disabled, retired military veterans, and just common veterans, even though were dishonorably discharged, to stand up for them. And so that's why I'm here. I don't get paid for this. Many times, Mayor Lou know, I don't even get gas money. But there's something about my commitment to this country. This is the best nation on the planet today, thoughts and all. Thoughts and all. And I will stand for what is right until I die. And then when I'm dead, my great ancestor spirit will come back and carry on what I have laid down. Because we didn't get here by black people sitting down and doing nothing. We didn't get where we are by white people sitting down and doing nothing. White people stood up for us and voted and stood with black people when black folk couldn't even have a voice. The white people. And so I just want to say, regardless of what you all are going through, always remember, don't you ever lower your standards to hate all white people. In fact, don't hate none of them. Because believe it or not, according to the volume of sacred law, we're all of the same blood. Now some say we're not. And if they just don't accept that, just remember St. John 8:32, which says, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set you free. And if the truth gonna set us free, I want to commend you all, because you refuse to punk out under pressure. You refuse to get under the table. You refuse to kill the plant that gives us all life, and to, in the eyes of the world, to say that we are a nation of laws. If we don't stand up for what the founding fathers of this great republic stood for, I'm sorely afraid we won't have this republic too many more days and years. Now, I'm going to be quiet because I can't go further, because I am pregnant. I'm 64 years old. And after I got about 17 years old, I've been pregnant ever since. Just imagine being pregnant in 10 years birth. Closing statements, and I want Mayor Lou to go last. I want you to go first, Warrington, simply because you're on this end. What do you think the state of Georgia can do to help you, number one? And number two, what can the news media do to help you and these other mayors? What can they do that they haven't already done?
I've been reaching out for help through this state, from the government to the Secretary of State, and I had found no answer yet. And the answer that I have on the inside, that I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep fighting. And I commend you for what you said and what you have done for our country. I live in America, in Warrington, Georgia, that where I will put those people up with any people in the United States. We have some great people there, and those people want something in life. We don't want to just sit there and our life waste away. We want something. And when God gave me the vision that I can help, I really believe I can help. And anybody in the state of Georgia, if you can come and help the city of Warrington and help these other cities, we will be indebted to you that you come out and do something for us. Because we're at a point now that we don't know which way to go. Don't have the funds to go there. I have used my own funds, and I love Warrington. I won't get $14,000 back out of the 4 years that I've been in office. I will never retreat it back. But I can retreat the love that the people have in Warrington, to want to have something. The lifestyle of being free. And not saying that being as a slave, being free. Just being free as a human. Not as black and white. And as you stated, that we have some great white citizens there. They fight, but they have to fight undercover. And I really take my hat off to them that they fight undercover. But I'm going to keep fighting undercover and out under the cover. And I'm not giving up.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to keep going. And what we can do to help, if someone out there see this video or hear this, my sound and my voice, if you know what we can get help, we asking for it.
My last question to you. So you speak of $14,000. So you did go to court. Am I right?
Yes,
and
sir.
You lost your case, right?
No, we won, but still, I won the case, but we're still fighting. And I got another case that's coming now against the council. We made file on last Friday, and we're looking forward to go there because I'm not a quitter.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mayor Brown.
Okay, my answer to that is the state of Georgia. Well, in my political science classes, they said that the state is just another word for the government. And the government is by the people, for the people, and of the people. So we need to educate our people about what's going on out there and not let them just, they need to come to the meetings I mean, all this street talk, street gossip, and especially what's in the newspapers is not true. They don't. I think a lot of them don't even know what we go through. So, education is the key. I mean, not going to stay at 40, 50 years old. There's no problem with getting educated at an older age, but I mean, when they're coming up in school, they should understand that voting is your voice, and that is the most important voice, one of the most important voices that you will have. So we need to teach them what Democrat, Republican is. We need to teach them, to stand up for what's right. But you can't stand up for what's right if you don't know the rules. So they need to understand the laws because, like they say, ignorance is no excuse. When you stand in front of that judge, ignorance is no excuse. So I just believe that we need to stand together. We need to teach our children, and we need to maintain the torch that was handed to us. And when the time is right, we can pass the torch on so that our legacy will be could be made even greater.
Okay, closing remark for you. A comment. I want you to answer this question for me, my beautiful brother and Mayor. Is Brooks County the home of the Quitman 10+2 and Miss Lula Smart, who was brought up on 119 voting fraud charges that lasted for over 4 years, and then after 3 trials of Lula Smart, she was cleared of all 20 to 40 charges against her, some federal offenses, and then the state later came back and exonerated all of them. Now, isn't that your community?
That is the community.
Wouldn't you say that that's dealing with voting rights as well?
Yes, it is dealing with voting rights.
So we have some problems in your county, am I correct?
Yes, we have.
Thank you very much.
Well, I believe that the state of Georgia, the Secretary of State's office, and the State Attorney General's office can assist mayors like ourselves and the citizens of the state by swiftly prosecuting violations of the laws that contravene state policies. Each of these agencies have developed, is tasked with developing rules and regulations, and I think that their swift and fair and impartial enforcement of these rules and standards would benefit all of the residents of the state. And I think that with respect to the media, that media should be very objective, it should be very transparent, and as Mayor Brown pointed out, the purpose of the media in open government is critical to question government, to ensure that citizens are educated as to policies and practices and things that are going on that may or may not be in the public interest, and I think the media should fulfill that role. Lastly, let me just say what I think that helped each of the mayors and myself that each of the mayors who have spoken today. I think that we need to establish a framework of addressing the problems that we're all facing. They're consistent problems, but if person A, there's a such thing as divide and conquer. I see the problem, I run west, the other person see the problem, they run east, another person gets a lawyer. We need to have, and it's a myth in America, that justice is not free. So we do need the financial resources to address wrongdoing in its tracks, because it's not a matter of if it is going to happen to us, it's when and how fast and how severe. And so I would love to have our coalition that has a legal counsel, that is specific for this body, that is astute and acutely aware of all the devices that have been used to stop us from governing, and that this person is prepared on cue to defend us, just like the NAACP has done and historically in civil rights cases. But I think that's what this body needs, because we do not have necessarily training our leadership institutes within our community that says, I prepare you to be the mayor of Whipple-Lue. I prepare you to be the mayor of Camilla. I prepare you to be the mayor of Gordon. we step into these roles with our great intentions and to represent people, but we're up against, institutions and groups that are very savvy and undermining the political process. So I think we do need those financial resources and that representative to help us out with that.
Okay. We get our closing remarks from Mayor Whipple-Lue. I asked her to comment last, and I think I need to explain why. Because one day I received a call from the Madison 7 dealing with voting rights down in Florida, wherein they too was having problems with being lied on by whoever within government. Then I was called to Quitman, Georgia, to the Quitman 10+2, December 21st, 2010, when they went out and did that Secretary of State G.B.R. etc. Then I was called to, of course, Linda Harris in May. They were saying that she practiced voodoo, and so I went there. Then from there I was called to another place that was called Dawson, Georgia, which I've kind of omitted today to mention Christopher Wright in Dawson, Georgia. He too have some issues as well that need to be discussed here. And that individual was shot 6 times for whatever reason, and we're not going to get into that. But then while I was in Dawson, I got he told me, you need to call somebody else who was going through something. And guess who that was? That was Mayor Whipple-Lue. I got to talk with her. And the reason I respect Mayor Lou so much is because of what she has gone through. I also appreciate the connectedness that she has created. From there, I went to Lumpkin, Georgia. Then from there to Warrenton, Georgia. And then from there, I'm not going to get into the rest. I'm just going to let her talk. But I want you to know that Mayor Whipple-Lue is like the keystone. And that's why I want to save her for last.
I'd like to say with all of this, I attribute this not only to each of you as mayors, but to my late husband, Basil-Lue, who stood with me, beside me, and was with me. And I'd be remiss if I would not include him. Today, if he had been alive, I know where he would be, right here. I'd just like to thank you all and just say Mayor Ivey, Mayor Brown, Mayor Davis. I met Mayor Davis and Mayor Harris. I met them early on, and Mayor Davis of this year. So with that being said, and there are many other mayors, but when I attend these conferences, this is what I'm interested in. It's not about for my political gain or what have you, but to connect and say we reach out and help each other, just as it could not have been any better put than what Mayor Davis said. We reach out to these officials and hold them accountable. Our state upper, those that are in position, and we dare not exclude the one and only George Boston Rhines with the Ghetto Free Press. He was a godsend because I've always been in the media and in the public's eye, and I've always had to be held accountable. But lately, since I became mayor, I've had nothing but positive vibes in all in the previous years. But as I said, since becoming mayor, everything I will have to agree with Donald Trump. The media is not my friend at this point. So, but what I have to do is stay the course. As one of the previous presidents said, stay the course. I've got to do stay the course and do what is right when all eyes are on me. So the mere fact of this is that we continue to embrace each other, come together, help with this coalition. Mayor Brown, you brought out some brilliant ideas. There are others who want to join, but right now this is the beginning point, and this is the focal point of where this might lead. We've got other endeavors that we anticipate bringing, but this is a start. And for this, I must say, it is all good. Thank you.
Give yourselves a hand. This is the Get To Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines, and I said it and I will continue to say it. We report what others ignore. We're going to ask you to close. Anybody else got something burning in this must say? If not, we're going to close in prayer from George Ivey.
Yes, sir. Father God, we just thank you, Lord, for allowing us to come together and share our plan, Lord, to do our will. And not our will, Lord, but let your will be done. And as we get ready to leave this lady never from the presence of you, we ask you to give us travel right back to our city and back to our home. That's what we desire, Lord, to be here, Lord. We're just not able and afraid now to come. And we just pray right now, Lord, the courage to get to each and every one of us, Lord, to stand up for what's right, not what's wrong. And we just thank you in advance, Lord, what you're about to do in these mayors and these council life, Heavenly Father. And we pray, Heavenly Father, Brother Boston. We just pray, oh Heavenly Father, that for his protected, oh Heavenly Father, as he travel up and down the road, oh Heavenly Father, because we realize, people, that it's some danger people's out there, Lord. And we just ask you for the protection over him, Lord. And we just thank you, Lord, for what you're about to do in each and every one of our life. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Roger B. Tawney, a Southerner, reads a decision that says that Dred Scott, as a black person, and black people generally, had never been, were not then, could never be citizens of the United States, and as such have no rights which white men are bound to respect.
Listen, I got to thank you for the job you've done today, and the speech you gave was inspiring. I was about to say, I'm voting for you.
Yes.
But you weren't doing it for that reason. But you have passion, and if you weren't doing this, it would be just another void that we have. And it really did resonate to me, the things you were saying. The courage that you're showing in doing this, the caring for the community. It's not a paycheck that you get to do this. And in addition to that, black leadership is under assault. That is a fact.
Yes.
And we have to educate, and we have to do something about this. And so I'm very grateful to you for all that you've done and all that you continue to do. I look forward to having you to work with us. We're going to get there together.
Yes. Thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much.